If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. If you're on Team Healthy, and that means that you're the one that's trying to anchor your manner of life on the healthy ingredients like respect and trust and authenticity, you're at a disadvantage when you're dealing with a narcissist. Now, I know that's a rather sad thing to say, because a narcissist, as they engage with you, their beginning point is, I've never had a relationship that was based upon mutual trust and respect and authenticity ever. And you're not going to be the first person. And that's very disillusioning for you as you begin to realize that's what you're dealing with. And sometimes it doesn't really show itself to be that way until you're deep into it. Now, this can be somebody that you're living with or you're married to. This can be somebody that's inside your extended family, or someone that you socialize with and you thought you had a really good thing going with, or someone in your business that you've had a camaraderie with. Over time, you begin realizing that the narcissist has an end game in mind, and that is, it's so important for them to look important, to appear impressive, to have all the correct ideas and opinions that a person is supposed to have, to be the desirable person. That's their end game. And so that informs the way that they manage their current ways of dealing with you. They want to give the appearance that they have it all together when in fact they don't. And the whole relationship that they have with you is based not upon authenticity, but upon their scheming mentality. These individuals have a very deep sense of insecurity at the very foundation of who they are, but it's very important for them to appear to be the opposite of all of that. And so what they're doing with you is posturing, as opposed to saying, what you see is what you get, because over time you realize, well, what I saw is definitely not what I get. Now, there are multiple indicators that a person is in this scheming kind of a mindset. Unfortunately, sometimes you don't see it until you're pretty deep into it or you've been around that person for a long time. But let me run through some of the strong indicators of a person who has this scheming kind of mindset. Now, first and foremost, you're going to look back and realize that as you were engaging with that scheming narcissist, you'll realize their favorite topic in conversation is me. They have an uncanny knack for bringing the topic of conversation back onto themselves. They like to talk about their favorite activities, or they're very free in sharing their opinions. They want to talk about people they've known, or places they've been, or friends that they had, and fun things that they've gone along with. And that's normal in healthy relationships. We want to disclose and talk about those things. But with that schemer, you realize that the narcissist is not into you. They want you to be into them, and that becomes part of their starting point. That being the case, you also realize over time, this person is very impressed by the look of accomplishment. They're obsessed with it. They want to look good. They can be materialistic. They can be impressed by people who impress other individuals for superficial reasons, whether it's money or materialism and things like that. And they're drawn toward that. And it kind of gives you a hint as to what's going on inside of their mind and what draws and motivates them to be what they are. Also, we can say in retrospect, as you look at where these people are, they have tremendous issues with envy. Envy means that the other person has something that they wish that they could have. And so if they hear about somebody who's had an accomplishment, or had good things happen to them, or just has some positive experiences that they're talking about, they may say something, they're thinking, well, I wish I could have that. But often they'll say, well, it's not what you think it is. They think they're all that. And they're very easy to criticize individuals. They often think, well, what that person experienced or this good will that has come to this individual, actually it's something that I should have had. And again, that kind of gives you a hint into the mindset that they operate with. They have an attitude of entitlement. There are many, many things that I deserve. And when other people have good things coming their way, that should be me. Now, that having been said, you'll begin realizing whatever interest they do have in you is shallow. They may ask, what have you been up to and who you've been spending your time with, and did you enjoy your weekend with such and such? And they may show an interest in some of the superficial things that you do, but over time you realize they never really want to know my essence. Essence, the things that make it, essence comes from a Latin root word that means to be. Your being is not something that they really know how to delve into because they're not even aware of their own essence. They can't put out with you something that they don't have within themselves. They don't have that introspective nature that they want you to think that they have. Instead, you'll realize these individuals complain a lot about the people in their lives. And by the way, you're next. If you're in their confidences, they may kind of pull you aside and let you know, well, this person disappointed me here, and I had plans for this, and it fell through, and that person just not any good. And so they kind of let you feel like you're getting the scoop on the inside of their life, when in fact, over time, you realize you have a long history of people that have disappointed you. And you've had a long history of broken relationships. You don't have close friendships. You may have people that you do a lot of things with, but you don't have a history of close heart-to-heart kind of connections. Now, all of that, they can still show themselves to be interested in you, and they may, over time, until you get on their bad list, they can let it be, no, you and me, we're good. But as time goes on, these schemers actually show themselves to be very thin-skinned. The longer you're with these individuals, the more you realize, I've got to be careful that I don't say the wrong thing. Because if you do, then they get their feelings hurt very easily. They can be tense and agitated. There's this undertow of annoyance and irritability. They're easily offended. And then over time, you realize, that undertow of agitation, that's been there for a long time, and it's very deep, and it's starting to start coming in my direction. They have issues with impatience and annoyance and irritability and anger. And so all of this underneath the surface is just sitting there. They're very moody. And so this all informs you as to how they engage with people. They're constantly thinking, life owes me something. People owe me something. If something good happens to someone else, rather than saying, I'm pleased on their behalf, what they'll do is they'll think, how can I get that? And then over time, you realize you're nothing more than a pawn on their chessboard. As long as you give them what they want, it's like, I'm okay with that. In fact, I'll just keep working you. And they may be nice and pleasant and all for a while. But the end game is, you need to make me look important. You need to make me feel like I'm a real somebody. It's your job to keep me propped up. And so any kind of niceness or friendliness or pleasantness or cooperation, in retrospect, as you look at it, is all a ruse. It's part of their attempt to keep you on the hook so that they can be that important and a person that they're so desperate to be. Enough is never enough with these individuals. Now, the bottom line is, we go back to this whole thing about team healthy. They want to give the appearance at times that they can be healthy. Some of them don't even go that far, but they can only go so far in terms of maintaining relationships. Eventually, they will implode. And when that happens, that's when you see all of the ugliness and the irritability that's been there with many other relationships. They can't disguise it forever. That I go back and say, healthy people have a sense of authenticity. They don't know how to be authentic. and eventually they show that any kind of pleasantness or favoritism that they have with you is just a mask. So the bottom line is you're never going to satisfy this individual. They're constantly watching you thinking, did you give me what I want? Did you say this correctly? Have you propped me up to other individuals? Are you going to continue to be my supply? If so, we're okay. But if not, then you're going to be just like everybody else in my life. And that is, you're on the trash heap. You don't measure up. And somehow or another, it's always the other person's fault. So that being said, over time, when you're with an individual like this, it can hit you. This narcissist is simply in it for what they're going to gain from you. And they can only go so far in relationships. Narcissists are users. And I'm hoping that as you have this realization about what we're talking about, you'll come to the determination that says, I'll be used by no one. And once you see that that's their scheme, then I'm hoping you can say, I'm going to opt out. I'm assuming you'll go and you'll find your other targets that you'll have, but I'm not going to be one of those. And I hope that videos such as this give you some good insight about what we're talking about when we talk about the world of narcissism. Gus is back there. I think he's soaking it all up. Hope he's taking good notes. I'm going to test him on it a little bit later. If you've not already subscribed, I would encourage you to hit that subscribe button, the notification bell that goes along with it. Many times when you recognize that you've been in a situation where it was not that authentic situation at all, it might be good for you to seek out a therapist that can help you unpack all of this and come to terms and get back on your proper task, because these individuals have such a way of throwing you off your game. We have a sponsor that can take you to online counseling. The link is below, and there are therapists that can help you with this therapeutic intervention. And I would strongly encourage you to, if that's something you would need, seek the therapy that you know that would be helpful for you. And we have the link that would take you to that, where you can choose somebody that can work with you. In addition, I have my video courses. This is me about boundaries, free to be, about finding yourself despite the controllers in your life. Multiple videos with each course and writing materials, and then question marks that go with it. It's meant to have a very strong therapeutic value for you. Lots of thought and work that it would require of you, but well worth the effort. Also, we have my books and other resources below. Unfortunately, when you're with these schemers, what you see is not what you get, and over time they do reveal themselves. But when that happens, I'm hoping it can just cause you to be all the more determined that says, but I really am on Team Healthy, and I want to stand for the things that are right and good. Dignity, respect, and civility. And as you're able to hold your ground in that and not get caught up in all the counterflow that they want to generate with you, I'm hoping it can lead you to your place of steadiness. And most of all, it can take you to your place of peace.